And when it comes to paying attention to the pin locations, if you have this front pin location, the orange one, that is the birdie pin location for this hole. So if you go day by day, many books are offering this now where you can say birdie, par, or bogey, or even just birdie or bogey where par is a push. There's some markets like that as well, that this is the birdie day. If you scout the pin locations, you see it's up here. That's the birdie day. Fire on birdies. This greenish one, green-yellow one, is more of the par one. And these ones, well, you can make birdie on them. Most definitely. They're more par or bogey. So if bogey is underweighted in those markets, let's say that bogey is like plus 310 or something like that, because when you just take an overall look at this hole, it plays under par. It's one of the easier ones on the course. But if you can get like 4-1, depending on some guys, for a bogey on this hole, that could be a market you could exploit if you see that pin location is down in the back right.
At Mayo Experience.
Get started with some research for the 2026 Genesis Invitational. But first, a reminder, if you want to jump around in the episode, always hit the time code. Sub to the free Mayo Media newsletter as well. That's down in the description. As soon as Pebble Beach is done, boom, you will get the article full with picks in it, complete breakdown in your inbox completely for free. I even have a quick article up there right now. If you're already done with Pebble Beach, you got no runners, then you can do some early research before or even after watching this video. Smash a like, sub to the channel, give me your winner down in the comment section. That's always helpful for seeing who the early leans are going to be at Riviera. But I'm just fascinated to watch Pebble Beach on the weekend. I'm filming this before round 3. They moved up the tee times, put everyone on splits to make sure that the weather is somewhat fair for people, because it looks like it's getting pretty bad as the day goes along, and Lord knows what Sunday's going to bring. Hopefully Akshay can just stay in first place. That would be fantastic news. Have my doubts, it's probably not going to happen, although he is a very good wind player. Just because you normally play well in the wind versus the field doesn't mean you are going to play well in the wind. So there could be a chance for someone from the back of the leaderboard to do some damage. If anyone's watching this very early on a Saturday, I did bet Chris Kirk 5-1 with a boost, so I think it's up to like 650 or something like that to come inside the top 20. He's one of the first guys out on the course on Saturday. We'll see how that goes. By the time you watch it, he could be in last place. Who knows? But we're here to talk about the Genesis Invitational. It returns to Riviera CC after the Palisades fire pushed the tournament 125 miles south to Torrey Pines a year ago. It's been 24 months since Hideki went scorched earth in that final round, shooting 62 to beat Will Zalatoris and Luke List by 3 strokes. Hideki gained 8.5 strokes on the field on that Sunday. That is the most of any single final round of this decade. That's how good he was. The fact that he won by 3 is mental. Cantlay was the leader going into that day. But that last sentence with who he beat should really put an emphasis on how long 2 years can be in golf. Like, Hideki's still good. Zalatoris would follow that up with a T4 at Bay Hill. He was T9 at the Masters. Then he got hurt. Hasn't had a top 10 since. Luke List is currently projected to be playing in the subfield events on the DP World Tour's African swing at the moment. Hadwin was T4 that year. He's on the Corn Ferry Tour now. And get this. Tiger Woods played in that tournament and fired an opening round 72. He withdrew 6 holes into Friday with an illness. Tiger playing in an event legitimately feels like 20 years ago, not 2 years ago. So here's where we're at. I have been told by my friends in LA that the course is in great shape. It is completely unchanged from when we saw it last time, although there's been a lot of moisture, a lot of wetness in LA, atypical for this time of year. But here's where we're at. So the course could be a little bit soggier, a bit more scoreable, but the normally like patchy rough might be a bit thicker. And it's Kikuyu grass. The commentators are not going to be shy in telling you it is Kikuyu grass. Since this field is predetermined by the world rankings, the FedEx Cup standings, the Aon Next 10, the Aon Swing 5, along with the race to Dubai, whoever was won there was Marco Penge. That's why he's in the field. This is one of the best subplots for all year of who gets into these signature events. We saw it last week, who gets in, who doesn't. This week, we have 2 former Riviera champions, Max Homa and Adam Scott. They both received an invitation. Joining them is going to be Tom Kim in the field, who just hasn't been playing good golf for all that long. Tiger Woods announced on Friday, because Tiger is still the event host, that Sahith Theegala is in the field by receiving the Charlie Sifford Memorial Exemption. That is, Theegala is like by far the best guy to ever receive this exemption into the tournament. So Sahith is going to be there as well. Basically, it's the exact same field at Pebble Beach, except the field goes from 80 to 72. The last time we saw it, it was at 65 though. And this does remain one of the 3 signature events that actually has a cut line, which is great. After 36 holes, the field is going to be cut from 72 down to the top 50 in ties and any player within 10 strokes of lead. So, while it would never happen, it is statistically possible that every player can make the cut. Again, it's not going to happen. And anyone who likes no-cut events, honestly, they're the parents of everyone who thinks that they should get participation ribbons for every single kid. I still think it's outrageous. It makes tournaments feel like an exhibition. I completely understand why they do it. I just happen to hate it. And I know, especially for us who like to bet on this, to play DFS on it, whatever it might be, we all hate it too. But one thing I don't hate is this course. It's one of my favorite things of the year. I love Riviera when we can try to find that 16th hole and see that tree that's dead off the right-hand side. I honest to God think that is the best broadcast TV shot in all of golf. It's just amazing to watch. And this course even looks more spectacular in HD. I remember watching it in non-HD. Not that people don't have HD now. Everyone has HD. Watch it in 4K. It's going to look even better. Watch it in 8K. Probably the best experience you can get before we go to 1,000,000K in 2 years. But here's the course and here's the info. Riviera CC, par 71, is just a shade under 7,400 yards. POA greens, 58 bunkers, 0 water hazards. The par 3s have an average distance of 200 yards. All 4 of the par 3s rank amongst the 7 most parred holes on the course. 3 out of the 4 have a higher bogey rate than birdie rate, though, with number 4 has the 3rd highest bogey rate on the course. So take your pars and move on. When Hideki won in 2024, nothing but pars on the par 3s until he got to the weekend. Now the par 4s. This is where the course gets difficult. There's 11 of them. The average distance is 442 yards. However, the 2 toughest holes on the course are back 9 par 4s, 12 and 15. Both have an over par rate of over 30%, which is crazy. Matsuyama went double bogey on holes 12 and 13 in round 1, both par 4s. He only made 2 bogeys the rest of the week, one of them coming on par 4. So keeping your head above water here and then beating up on the par 5s. They're the 3 easiest holes on the course. They're super short, with number 1 owning an eagle rate that is 3 times the bogey rate. Its eagle rate is higher than the birdie rate at the par 3 number 4. So keep that in mind. Matsuyama played the par 5s -9 for the week, going birdie on Sunday. And when you take a look at the course, you think because of number 1 and 18 being so difficult, that if you are playing Showdown, you want your guys starting on number 1. But that's not the case. You actually marginally want them starting on number 10, because 17 is a par 5. The 3rd easiest hole on the course. Number 1 is a par 5, the easiest hole on the course. While only 9.4% of players birdie number 18, you have gimmies on both sides of it. That is the easiest way to span together a birdie streak around the turn if you're going to do it. So going front to back, you have around a 1.14 chance of building a birdie streak around that turn of 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, I guess 7, 8, 9, you play it either way, 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11. And if you play it 16, 17, 18-1 or 18-1-2, but primarily 17-18-1, you have a 1.88% chance. So it's not very high, but these are the little margins that can help you win in a showdown contest if that's the way that you want to play it. Now, I wouldn't take a bad player starting on the back over a good player at a similar price starting on the front. However, I do think it's something to look at just a little bit if that's a tiebreaker that you want to go with this week. I'm going to talk about number 10 in a little bit, but just for reference, number 10 is one of my favorite holes on tour. It's a prime example of an actually great short par 4. It's been the 2nd toughest par 4 under 350 yards on tour over the last decade, yet it's played under par 7 of the past 8 years. It's not incredibly difficult, but it can present a legitimate conundrum for players on the tee box, most of which has to do with where the pin is located, and we'll get more into that and how it might actually have a nice round-to-round individual player betting opportunity on some of those guys. But if you're a keener, you can figure out the pin positions, and then maybe, once we dig into the stats a little bit, figure out how it's going to go. But like Augusta National, there has been an overrepresentation towards left-handed players at Riviera and players who hit a draw. It's not imperative that you're a lefty or you hit a draw, because Rahm is one here, Dustin's one here, Neiman's one here. It's not the end-all be-all. If you can just bomb it out there, play putt well and hit some great approaches, you got a chance to win. But whenever you see a spot where Weir has won, Bubba's won 3 times, Phil has won, all those 3 guys also won at Augusta National as well, just pointing that out, that there is something to it. That, if you're a lefty, so I guess in the field this week it'd be Bobby Mack, who played really well in his first ever appearance at Riviera CC, and I guess Matt McCarty is the other one. Higo is in the field. I think those are all of them. I can't remember if Joe Highsmith is a lefty or not. Not that he matters, but just throwing that out there. But there's not as many lefties. You think there'd be a good Canadian left-handed player at some point, with Canada having the predominance of left-handed players? Yes, Mike Weir, but since Mike Weir, there's been no good Canadian lefties on the PGA Tour. All the Canadians are right-handed, and none of them are good anymore. Fun times. There's also been a significant crossover leaderboard between Riviera and Quail Hollow over the years, when Max Homa, JB Holmes, and James have won at both these venues. I feel like that's evidence enough. I don't know. It's the long approaches. They're both long courses. They overemphasize and over-index on approaches from beyond 175 yards. I'm guessing that's what it is, although completely different green complex. And on paper, 7,383 yards doesn't really seem like all that much. It doesn't seem like it's too long of a task as a par 71. But once you take a look at the scorecard, though, it turns out that Riviera CC is actually quite daunting in length, because there's elevation swings all over the course, like Augusta, but there's also that micro par 4 that I talked about, number 10. That's only 315 yards, and then all 3 of the par 5s are under 600 yards. So sometimes you see overinflation at courses because there's one par 5 that's 670 yards or 645 yards. That's not happening here. These are all short par 5s. You can get to all of them in 2. There's a drivable par 4. That leaves a lot of yardage to go around. What remains are 7 par 4s that measure over 450 yards. All 7 of those play over par. You'd be hard-pressed to find a course featuring more approach shots from 175 yards and beyond. 49% of approach shots this week are coming from 175 yards, and almost 3/4 of the approaches, 74%, come from 150 yards plus. It's essentially the exact opposite of what we just witnessed at Pebble Beach this week. Hole number 1 typically plays as the easiest par 5 on tour, generating right around a 6% eagle rate and a 60% birdie rate for the field. Since 2004, only number 9 at YLICC has seeded more eagles to the field. Short hitters with excellent irons can definitely contend at Riviera, but the degree of difficulty is so much higher for those guys. Now, we saw some shorter hitters either contend, and hell, 15 years ago, Mike Weir, Bill Haas, Luke Donald, these were the guys that were winning, but the big hitters just hit it so far right now that I would lean distance. Not the end-all be-all. It's not the most important thing of the week, especially since fairways are pretty difficult to hit here at right around 51% over the past 5 years. And the rough is generally short in spots, although if it has grown up because of the rain, that could be a bit of a different story. And the Bombers are just the path of least resistance. Just glance at the past winners, and past winners like of the recent future, or the recent past, and you'll get an idea when you got Dustin and Bubba and Rahm and these types of players. All 3 guys, again, who have won at Augusta National. An examination of the strokes gained influence amongst the top 5 finishers from the past decade show approach to be more than twice as impactful as off the tee or around the green, especially those long approaches. And I mentioned that 51% accuracy. It also sports some of the smallest greens in regulation percentages, 56%. Despite the greens being on the larger side, the PGA Tour averages are 61% accuracy, 51 here, 66% green in regulation, 56 here. And Riviera ranks inside the top 10 of the toughest greens to hit in regulation each of the 12 of the past 13 seasons that it has actually been played as a PGA Tour event. Short game is going to factor in determining the winner, but a lot like Pebble Beach, the green complexes at Riviera, both on and around the green, are simply learned through experience. You can get lucky. Like, there's a reason that Bubba Watson has a terrible short game on most courses, yet he seems to know exactly the proper shot and speed at Riviera, like Augusta. And unlike Pebble Beach, Riviera has super large greens. They're 7,500 yards, which puts an extra emphasis on lag putting. Once again, like Riviera. So beyond the simple strength of field, it's another reason why there's so much crossover between those two places. And listen, the top end players always play here, and top end winners always win at Augusta. We see more longer shots win here, although like when you reverse engineer, it's like, oh yeah, that actually makes a ton of sense of how this guy got it done. Riviera historically ranks amongst the toughest putting courses from inside of 5 feet, along with Pebble Beach and Torrey Pines South, all Poana courses. And obviously not all POA greens are the same. The putting surfaces at Riviera tend to be super fast, like Augusta, whereas Pebble Beach are some of the slowest because of where they're situated on the coast. After Pebble Beach, Riviera sports the toughest greens to hit from inside 125 yards. Fortunately, there's fewer shots from inside 125 yards than most places, only 76%. Of hitting the green inside 125 yards. These are PGA players, not me and you out there. And with the narrow fairways, the broadcasters do love saying Kikuya. I will continue to harp on that, and you will notice it now that you're paying attention because, the Kikuya, it's going to catch your club. And it's going to be mentioned over and over and over and over. The Kikuya rough at Riviera tends to be patchy in spots. Now, again, I don't know if that's going to be different with more rain. So you need an element of luck at Riviera as well, or just be very good at playing from the thick rough because your ball could be hanging down bigly, or it could just be sitting up with some flyer lies. Because of this volatility, I think the Bombers gain the advantage here a lot. It's sort of like the mini version of what you saw with Bryson when he won at Wingfoot, when just no one was hitting, I think it was 39% fairways hit. He's like, well, if I'm not going to hit the fairway anyway, and no one's going to hit the fairway, I'm just going to drive it as far as I can, so at least I can club a 9-iron up there where other people are hitting 5-iron. The same strategy weirdly applies to this. The further you can hit it down in the rough, since only half the field hits fairways anyway. Now, obviously, it's better to play from the fairway, but if only half the guys are hitting it, the further down you're going to be means the more loft you can get on your club, which means you might be able to keep it on the green rather than being 195 yards away. You're better off being 145 yards away if you're going full bore and not clubbing down. Around 77% of the field utilizes driver off the tee, and there are some shorties, so obviously those are the ones when people aren't using driver off number 10 because you don't need to, but that's impacting it a little bit as well. So because of those low accuracy rates and the penalties for missing fairways, the closer you get to the hole is somewhat mitigated. Expect some of the guys just to go absolute bombs away this week. A well-built wardrobe isn't about having more clothes, it's about having the right pieces that actually work together and hold up over time, and that's why Wince does it the best. So expect to see some new looks on the show in the not-too-distant future. Wince has everyday essentials I love, with quality that lasts, organic cotton sweaters, a lightweight or spring jackets, and higher-end long-sleeve tees that are monochromatic, the Pat Mayo staple. It's all designed to be easy to wear and easy to rely on. They work directly with top factories and cut out the middleman, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing that's built to handle daily wear and still look good season after season. The coat I picked up is holding up way better than the other coats that I bought that cost way more. It's stylish, it keeps me warm, it didn't break the bank. Refresh your wardrobe with Wince. Go to wince.com/mayo for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/mayo. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Wince.com/mayo. Using a VPN is like wearing pants online. All your activity is encrypted and private, hidden from trackers, snoopers, and data brokers. That is why you need Surfshark. Surfshark can help you avoid dynamic pricing by connecting to cheaper locations to save money on everything from flight tickets to hotel bookings. You can change your virtual location to safely stream content from home or unlock regional shows and movies that might be restricted in your current country. With Surfshark, fast connection speeds are guaranteed across their extensive network of servers in 100+ countries. And the Clean Web ad blocker is an efficient feature that blocks annoying ad trackers and malware before they even load, resulting in a faster, cleaner, and safer browsing experience. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. It's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Right now, go to surfshark.com/PatMayo and use my code, PatMayo, for 4 extra months at checkout. That link and code are in the show notes and description. I'm currently 4 months off cigs, and cravings aren't just about nicotine. They're about habit. The hand-to-mouth motion, that quick pause during the day and when you're trying to quit, it's breaking that loop that's the hardest part. That's why people replace smoking with eating, something of which I am very guilty of. That's where fume comes in. Not only is fume spelled with an umlaut, which is awesome, fume is a flavored air device designed to help you ditch vaping or smoking by replacing the habit itself. No nicotine, no batteries, no vapor, just a weighted, twisty, fidget-friendly device that gives your hands and mouth something to do when the cravings hit. I've had these moments where I just normally reach for a cig. Instead, I just grab my fume to fidget with. That interruption is exactly why it works. The flavors are lighter too. Think like flavored water versus soda. Crisp mint, strongest if you're a heavy user. Raspberry, got some more of that tangy sweetness. It's quite nice. Fume has already helped over 700,000 people take steps towards better habits. And now it's your turn. Use my code MAYO to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com and use code MAYO to claim your free gift today. Before we jump into all the course stats and try to find out some more people, let's take a look at the 10th hole at Riviera Country Club. You can see these are the distribution from 2020, and these were the 4 pin locations. So the easy pin location is the one at the very front. These ones in the back they're not necessarily bogey machines, but you can see anyone who misses to the right, you're making, unless you're like chipping in or hit a very lucky shot, you see very few birdies if anyone misses to the right. Where you want to start attacking this green. If you can miss to the left short or just be relatively short, you don't want to lay back. You see very few birdies and even some bogeys made from actually laying up from before the bunker. If you go at the green but can keep it in front or just, if you can get it on, that's fantastic news. You see very, very few eagles. They're either chip-ins or amazing drives, but all of the birdies are tended to be concentrated from short left, and you see a lot of pars from just the left. Very few black spots on this list. Blue and black from the right-hand side, though. You miss to the right, it's very hard. Like you're struggling to make par. Very few birdies are made from over here. So this is why I like this hole so much. So just some quick stats on this hole. Since 2013, the green regulation rate inside 75 yards is just 63%. It is a very difficult hole to play, and you do need a lot of strategy going in. Now, because of the analytics revolution amongst a lot of these coaches and players where they're actually consulting this, they should play this hole better this season in 2026 than they ever have, because they're going to have all the same data that I've been talking about for 10 years, but more people are paying attention to it now. The par save rate with that back right pin, so these two in the back, and sometimes it's even shorter towards that back right, is only 53%. Even wedge approaches from perfect distances routinely fail to hold the green. Players who choose to go for it, as mentioned, are best served missing left. Right side misses produce bogey or worse roughly 1/3 of the time. So for reference, the tour average from greens and regulation inside 75 yards is 88%. And it's just it's just 63% on this particular hole. Only number 2 at Spyglass Hill has played more difficult relative to par for par 4s under 350 yards. And that one's a little bit longer than this 315 one. Now, it does play under par. It is a birdie hole. You should make birdie here if you know what you're doing, but it can get away from you a little bit. So this is why I like it so much. And when it comes to paying attention to the pin locations, if you have this front pin location, the orange one, that is the birdie pin location for this hole. So if you go day by day, many books are offering this now where you can say birdie, par, or bogey, or even just birdie or bogey where par is a push. There's some markets like that as well, that this is the birdie day. If you scout the pin locations, you see it's up here. That's the birdie day. Fire on birdies. This greenish one, green-yellow one, is more of the par one. And these ones, well, you can make birdie on them. Most definitely. They're more par or bogey. So if bogey is underweighted in those markets, let's say that bogey is like plus 310 or something like that, because when you just take an overall look at this hole, it plays under par. It's one of the easier ones on the course. But if you can get like 4-1, depending on some guys, for a bogey on this hole, that could be a market you could exploit if you see that pin location is down in the back right. Again, players are a bit more savvy to what's actually going on this hole now, so maybe that will adjust as people get smarter off of the tee, but some guys aren't super smart off the tee, and they're just going to go firing. If they try to fire at this pin or fire at this green, even the 3-putt percentage, and you just get par in there. I would prefer it in the birdie versus bogey market if you can find ones without par and just hammer bogeys all day long on these back pins, because most of them are just going to be par anyway, and you'll push and just roll your money over. But I think that is an angle that you can look. Birdies on the front pin, bogeys on the back pin, only if the price is right, however. Let's bump over to the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo to get yourself the discount over at Betsperts Golf. It's a parkland course. There's no water, as we mentioned. Everything is up here. It's mixed off the tee because of some of the shorter ones where you just don't have to go full bore. It's still pretty high, though. It's still 73% driver usage over the past 5 years. You can see everything that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Accuracy, 50.5%. PGA Tour average, 60.5%. So 10 percentage points lower at this course. Ron does such an excellent job of showing us where the relative difference between Riviera and your standard courses are over the past 5 years. I find this to be very helpful. So, the missed fairway penalty per hole is lower, so that's positive. You can miss there. Rough penalty per hole, a little bit lower because guys are missing so many, yet the winning score is still going to be in the realm of -17, -18, whatever it may be. So I find that to be very interesting, that you can, again, just kind of bomb and gouge if you want to. Always better to be in the fairway. As you know, I mean, that's not a hot take by any means, but just taking a look at that, it overemphasizes. You see good drive percentage down because of the green's regulation, and strokes gained off the tee per drive is actually lower here than it is at your average course. So distance, let's bump that up a little bit, and off the tee means a little bit less for a lot of guys. Approach play just is the world here, except like you can see, green regulation below, fairway percentage, green regulation from the fairway below. It's just very hard to hit. So around the green gets over-indexed a little bit because it means a little bit more at this course, because it's about the same as driving when you take a look at the top 5, top 10 players. The approach play, it's just harder here than it is in a lot of places, but the birdie are better, and the rough penalty margin is actually much easier here than it is at other places, so we can keep that in mind as well. Around the green, you can see around the green per shot, you can see the scrambling percentage from the rough is a little bit higher than it is at your average PGA Tour event. Sand safe percentage a little bit lower around here. Around the green, shot per bunker is a little bit more difficult at this course not even a little bit more difficult. It's almost 50% more difficult at Riviera than it is at a lot of places. So we'll take a look at sand. Fortunately, there's not a ton of sand around. I mean, there's about half the amount of bunkers around Riviera as there was at Pebble Beach. So that's not the end of the world. Putting, very difficult at this course. It's one of those things where you know it or you don't. You need to get your speeds right. A lot like Augusta National in that sense that we've even seen over the years. I mean, Bubba Watson is the prime example. I'd say that Will Zalatoris is probably the most recent example of guys that once you get an understanding of how the greens roll and how they roll out and playing each of the different levels, because these greens are so big, that once you get a sense of that, you can keep that in the back of your mind. We'll do some research on that and add it into our model a little bit later on. Putting, just super hard. It's a hard course, despite the fact that you see guys with pretty good winners. Of note, the Genesis Invitational was played a year ago. Ludwig won at -12. That was not at Riviera. That was at Torrey Pines. So anything you see from last year, do not take that into, you can take it into consideration, I suppose. There have been guys that have won both these tournaments in the past. They're both in Southern California. They're both Poa greens. This is not a coastal course, however, and they're both pretty long. So there is some crossover there, obviously, but it's not the course that we're talking about today in Riviera. You can see these approach ranges. I mentioned it before, but over 200 plus approaches make up for 25%, but look at the over-index right here. 30% more shots coming from 150 to 175 yards than your typical PGA Tour course. 36% more approach shots from 175 to 200. 3/4 of the shot coming from 170 or 150 plus this week. Very few shots from 50 to 100 yards, or hell, even like from 100 to 150. Only 26% between the two, which is way down versus everywhere else. You need to be, if you have to save yourself, you got to save yourself. It's not like you shouldn't have those in the bag, but that's not primarily what I'm looking for, where that is exactly what you wanted to see at Pebble Beach a week ago. So a lot of a different type of skill set that we're looking for this week. As I mentioned, Hideki's just approach play in round 4 was incredible last year. You can see he only gained 2 for the tournament. He gained 9 strokes tee to green, but on Sunday he was electric, shot -9 in round number 4. It's just kind of wild. You can see, 2.4 strokes gained on approach, 3.4 around the greens. Guess what? Hideki, another Masters winner who won at this course. Putting, just absolutely lit it up. But as we go back and look, Zalatoris in second, Luke List tied for second. Cantlay had this. He was the first round leader, second round leader, and third round leader. Shot +1 in the final round to tie with Xander. They were both on a tie for fourth. See some Harris English, some Tom Ogie. Who were the guys who did it on approach? It was Hoagie. He was on fire on approach play. Yeah, he's on fire on approach play at Pebble Beach right now, too. The best approach players in the field: Hoagie, Taylor Moore, Luke List, Will Zalatoris, Cantlay, and Cam Young. Cam Young has been pretty good at this course, as we'll find out over his short career and the amount of times that he's played it, although he lost bigly around the greens. Not so much on the greens. He was right around break even, but almost 4 strokes lost around the greens. The best players from that, Griot, Hart, Nick Hardy was in this event. Good Lord, it's funny. It's really working, trying to get like the good guys and bad guys out at the bottom of these fields year over year. And you gotta say it's working. Scotty gained 7 strokes around the green while losing 4.3 on the greens in 2024. Mac Hughes was up there. Hideki, Poston, Day, Ben Ann, Xander. Xander could be a really good look this week. He has a nice score through 2 rounds at Pebble Beach, but the stats aren't exactly where you'd want it to be, but it does seem like he's starting to round into form, and he's someone over the years who has played pretty well here as well. You might just want to call this like the Live Invitational. Rahm, Neiman, you can see Bubba Watson's won here 3 times, Dustin's won here a few times. Like, all the guys who left to go to Live just populated the top of the leaderboard. You may remember Rahm won in 2023 by 2 strokes over Homa because he hit it into the grandstands and bounced onto the green. He should have been out of bounds. But you can see Zalatoris played well. Cantlay historically plays well here. So does Max Homa. This is a pretty sticky course history course. And you can see, strokes gained approach. Rahm just lit up that week. And we got Luke List. Luke List gained 11 strokes on approach and came 29th because he lost 2 around the greens and 7 on the greens. That's wild stuff. The Gala was good that year. Rory was really good that year. So was Xander. Xander was very good on approach, but lost a chunk around the greens. Only came T33. The year before that, Neiman was the winner. He beat Cam Young and Morikawa, I want to say. Yeah, Cam Young and Morikawa both finished T2. Adam Scott, Victor Hovland just behind him. I feel like Hovland Neiman was way out in front of everyone, had an even par final round. Scheffler was up there. This feels like a course where Scheffler just should win, although he never has. It's same as Tiger. Like, Tiger rated out so well for this course. It was the first tournament Tiger ever played on the PGA Tour. I think for like any course Tiger played more than 4 times that he's never won it, which is wild to think about. And now he is the host of this event too, which is even stranger. But approach that year, and like Neiman lit it up. Neiman lit it up everywhere that year. He was untouchable. This was one of the more dominating performances I can remember relative to the field. But Cam Young and Morikawa were both really good that year. You can see Cam Young, again, struggled around the greens that year. And the putting was good. The approach was good. Morikawa, I remember betting him this year because it was approach play the year before. If I'm remembering this properly, I might click on 2021 when Homa won, take a look at it and be like, oh God, I was dead wrong on this. But he gained 6.8 strokes putting in 2022, as you can see. I believe in 2021, he lost something ridiculous, like 9 strokes putting. Very rarely, and this happened with Luke List. Before we check in on that, this was the Luke List thing. So we just saw Luke List in 2023 dumped 7 strokes putting. Yeah, he was the worst in the field, 7.1 strokes putting. In 2023, I believe he was one of the 3 best in the field. So it goes like wishy-washy. If things start going bad for you, they go really bad. We got to click on Rahm. Do I have this right? The year that Rahm won? No, I want the Hideki year is where I want to look at. So Hideki minus 17, the best putters in the field were Luke List number 1. He went from worst to first, and I believe that it was pretty close to the same for Morikawa that year. Morikawa was 3rd in putting in 2022. In 2021, he was, let's see, 2nd worst. Minus 7.55, gained 7 strokes on approach. So it's either really good or really bad, which is kind of indicative of a lot of the guys that we've seen at this course. Like JB Holmes is the king of this. JB Holmes either leads the field in putting or he's the absolute stone worst. We saw this in 2021 or 2019 when he's winner. I feel like he made everything that year. Just in my mind, it was 36 holes on a Sunday. Justin Thomas was winning in this tournament. You can see in round 4, he shot +4, -1, got it for JB Holmes. Yeah, he gained 8 strokes putting on the field. It was bad conditions. They had to condense everything. This was a really fun year. I can't remember if this is the year or not. Where was Joel Damon? There was one year where Joel Damon was in the mix. I thought it was this year. He was just off the lead, but I think he came close to his each way. It's not that year because maybe it was the Bubba Watson year. But it was the Adam Scott year, the year that Adam Scott won. Joel Dahmen was up there. I vividly remember that he was in the mix. So yeah, he came 5th, and he was like one shot off the lead at one point on the back nine, and they just didn't show him whatsoever. It was before Joel Dahmen was, Mr. Netflix and coming down to it, but it was just indicative of how shitty the broadcast is sometimes. That this was such a weird year. You can see -11 scoring was down that year. It seems like there's going to be pretty good conditions, but as we've seen the past few weeks, sometimes that can change. Going through that if scoring is down a little bit, a different skill set and type of player tends to do well. Like that's the year that James Hahn won at like -6 or something like that. He beat Dustin and Paul Casey in a playoff. But once you start getting into your bigger ones, I have -17, -15. I'd say -12 is probably on the other end. 19 for Neiman, 17 for Rahm, 17 for Hideki. Your better players are going to rise to the top. The lower the score is, the more volatility that we're going to get, and guys of a lower ilk could win. However, like when you take a look at the past odds of some of these guys, they weren't super high. Rahm was the betting favorite. He was +850. I believe Neiman was 40-1. All this information in the free column. I'm just trying to riff this off the top of my head from what I can remember. Homa was like 50. Hideki was 50. Scott was 33. JB was 100-1. I hit Bubba here. He was 50-1. Dustin was the betting favorite. I think he was something around 5-1. Bubba was 40 or 50-1. One of these years, I forget which one it was. One of these years was the year that Bubba said that he was going to leave to go play in the NBA All-Star game for like the celebrity game, and everyone just like got off of him because of it, because he was going to WD from his tee time if the traffic was too bad. Then he just stayed and won the tournament. So that was a lot of fun. Jump over to some of the player stuffs and start building out a model. Let's take a look at Riviera. First things first. We'll go back past 6 years. And we'll just type in Riviera, because obviously we didn't play it last year, so we're not going to get any info from it then. And one thing I do want to throw in is short game. So strokes gained, short game between, and we'll take the past 12 rounds at the course. So it's going to be super long for some people, but hopefully it's not all that much because there's no salaries out so far. Betspertsgolf.com/Mayo. To use this, you can go to hide salary. Boom. You can see that most people have their 12. I mean, it's crazy that over the past 6 years, Harris English has only played 8 rounds at this course, and one of them was a top 10. It's funny how that works out sometimes. We'll go to average per round, and we'll go to strokes gained, short game. So this will encompass around the green play and putting from these courses. So you can see the best players: Harris English, Mav, Homa, Morikawa, Denny McCarthy, Cantlay, Tommy Fleetwood, Jordan Spieth, Sahith Theegala, Jason Day, Hideki, Scotty Scheffler, Ben Griffin, Nick Taylor. There's Bobby Mack in only his 4 rounds. Played really well in his 4 rounds, as you can see. I believe he was inside the top 5. Straka has not done his approach play very well here, but his short game, his putting has been very good at these courses. Lowry kind of across the board has been really good. This could be a very good Shane Lowry course if the score plays to -11. If it gets like -20, I don't know as much, but he is one of those shorter hitters, but hits his long irons really well. Very good around the greens. If he can just have that year where he makes a few of the putts, then he can be pretty good. But we're going to throw strokes gained, short game. So Riv short game / putting into the model. That's the first thing that we're going to look at here. The other thing, we can just take a look at strokes gained total over the years. So the past 6 years, but only the players past 12 rounds. We're looking at Morikawa, Homa, Cantlay, English, Cam Young is your top 5. Scheffler, Lowry, Xander, Hovland, McNeely, McIntyre, Day. My first just quick thoughts on the week, like buying back in on Hovland. I was not in on him at Pebble Beach, but I think that I could buy into him. If Scheffler, it really depends on what Scheffler does here, because when we guess the odds, listen, Scheffler, they're going to be very similar to what they were this week. So Scheffler is going to be right around 3-1, unless he has a bad Saturday or Sunday and finishes outside the top 30. I'm not going to say he's going to be 8-1 next week, but all of a sudden you might get him at 4-1, and which is, a 33% increase on where he was last week. Hell, if you get a boost, you get him up to 5-1. That starts looking like a pretty good number. But for me, I would probably take a look at Morikawa, who, once again, if we take a look at the live leaderboard, this is one of the new features that we have at the Rabbit Hole. It's an awesome tool. It has like everything you could want to see. This is what we're seeing right now at Pebble Beach, but it has inside 10-foot putting. It has all the stats in real time. Apex height, ball speed, average distance of putts made. If Akshay can just, make a few more putts here, we're going to be looking good. And Hisatune needs to dial it back. Him and Sam Burns. Sam Burns might actually be a pretty good look at Riviera. He had Riviera one year at the turn on What year was that? I can't remember what year it was. But he was winning at the turn. He was up by like 4 strokes and just gagged. He hit it out of bounds on like 11, and that was just the end of Sam Burns. Tee to green stats in the live leaderboard, just overall strokes gained of what you want to see. You can see the average. So just guys that are, let's see guys that are putting well this week or putting poorly this week on these greens, because again, it flops week to week. Like your average per round, I bet on Rye this week. He's in like dead last, but that usually what happens. Usually, if I get a winner, some of the else that I bet on during the week ends up coming dead last. So he and Berger are way down there. T78, it's good showing. Johnny Vegas is in dead last, and a lot of that is due to putting. But you can see like Keith Mitchell, his approach play has been very good. I don't believe he's in the field this week though. Wyndham Clark, very interesting. He's lost almost 5 strokes putting through 2 rounds, and his approach play has been very, very good. Off the tee, a bit neutral in that regard. Other guys putting poorly, but with good approach play. Rory, Glover, Morikawa, again, continues the really good approach play, and we've seen he can either be first or worst in putting at Riviera over the years, so if you can catch like a 33-40 on Morikawa or higher, that could be a look. I've been good. I've been tempted to bet Morikawa. I just haven't got there yet this year. This could be a spot where I end up going in. Hovland, you can just see his short game is absolutely brutal. Let's check out how Hovland's short game has been at Riviera over the years, because it's going to be one of those ones where he's like really good or really bad, which is always an interesting thing. And that's what you see with Hovland. Now, it's usually really bad. Genesis Invitational. Well, it's been bad over the years, and these are the average. Let's take a look at the totals for the Genesis Invitational. Now, this first one is from Torrey Pines. Let's not worry about that one. But yeah, does he have enough juice? Like, he almost won his first 2 years. He never finished outside the top 20. If he just gets a lucky short game chipping round or chipping tournament, like 2 out of 4 good chipping rounds at Riviera, Hovland can most definitely contend. Curious to see, coming off of like a mediocre type week as of right now at Pebble Beach, whether or not he could be someone that drifts down the board. So I'd be looking at him, Bobby Mack, and Morikawa as potential drifters down the list. That, at the right number, would be one of the few people that I'd be looking at off the hop, because again, the approach play still very good for him through 2 rounds, obviously. Nico Echeverria, Rico Hoey, that's no shocker. Goddard. Goddard's like Mr. Win, so he might just flourish on the weekend at Pebble Beach, but his approach play has been awesome. Lowry, another one. His chipping has been down, which is really strange for Shane Lowry, usually one of the better good chippers on tour, but through 2 rounds, like 1 chip in, 1 bad miss, can really skew everything. Even over 4 rounds, it's not the end-all be-all, but overall, a very good short game player is Shane Lowry. Straka and Jaeger having tons of problems, but Goddard, Hoey, Lowry, and Straka all with very good approach numbers and like right around par putting. Guys that are like over-indexed this week. You can see Sam Burns is just gaining everything. Hisatsune's actually been very good on approach. Like Hisatsune deserves to be, Hisasune, I guess is the easier way to pronounce that, the proper way to do it. But his approach plus putting, like this is the recipe for Pebble Beach right here, hence why he's in first. Like Spieth is losing on approach. Henley had a bad round 2. I'm hoping he got all his bad shots out of the way in round 2 and he can make a run, because he's still putting the lights out. Keep the putter up. Go back to your regular approach play, because I think it was round 2 for Henley was just really bad on approach. Let's see. Yeah. Where are you at, Russ? Russ Bus Henley, yeah, minus 1.42. Not very good. Some bad rounds in round 2. Who are the best players? I assume it's Akshay or Fowler. Bud Cauley. Did not expect Bud Cauley to be up there. Hisasune after the best putting day like of all time, where he lost on approach and off the tee and gained almost 11 stroke short game for the first round lead. Kind of nuts. Rory's just been 2 double bogeys with 3 putts on day 1s on par 3s, and his approach play was off the charts good on Saturday. If anyone's gonna make a run like at the top of the board here, it's probably gonna be him. But let's not. We don't need to continue to talk about what's going on with Pebble Beach, because that tournament is probably over by the time that you are watching this. What do we still have in here? Okay, we've reset everything. We're back to normal. We don't have any extra courses in here. I do want to make. Let's see what Ron has come up with comp course wise. What he has in here. So he has Torrey Pines, Bay Hill, Augusta, Potomac. We'll take Potomac off the list. We'll take Southern Hills off the list. The Country Club. We'll take Copperhead off the list. It's DPC San Antonio Oaks. Interesting. Quail Hollow. We'll keep Harding Park in, I guess. And Silverado will take out. That's a bit too easy. Although Homa has won both. Scheffler did just win there. Maybe I'll throw Silverado back in. We'll throw Silverado back into the mix here. Click that one on, and we'll click apply. And you know what? We'll throw Riviera. It's not necessarily a comp course. It is this course. But we'll throw that into, and we'll take a look at the past 3 years of data. We'll go past 3 years of data, and we'll call this course history. We'll call it course and comp course history. And we'll go to the past 24 rounds guys have played at these courses. We'll go past 30 rounds. Yeah, most guys have 30 rounds to count from. And then we'll turn off that switch again on the salary, go to average round and see who the best players are. Okay, the best players really are the best players here. Scheffler, Rory, Xander, Connors, who's been dog shit as of late, Morikawa, Fleetwood, Novak pops up at 1.1. How has he ever, I don't know if he's ever played Riviera. Let's take a look at friend of the show, Andrew Novak, how he's been doing at these places. Genesis Invitational. Nope, never played at Riviera in his professional career. Maybe he's played it a ton of times elsewhere. I don't know. Ludwig, Ryan Fox. Foxy's starting to play some good golf. I kind of want to take a check-in on how he's doing. He played okay last week in Phoenix. He's been playing with Rory, so he's been on the feature group both of the first 2 rounds. Yeah, like he was good across the board. Honestly, in Phoenix, great on approach. The ball striking was good. Obviously, he's got the length to compete. He can hit it out of this. He's a big man. He can hit it out of this rough, no problem. I don't know if he's ever played here. I don't think that he has. Genesis Invitational, no, but he has played well at the Masters. I guess is somewhat. He's made the cut both times at the Masters in his first 2 appearances. Very good off the tee, very good around the greens. That's nice to see. Very good on the greens one of the year. It seems like what happened here? We can go down. You can always get the round by round here at the rabbit hole as well. What happened to him? He was horrible in round 4. On approach play. He wasn't good at all really last year on approach play, but -2 on approach play Sunday at the Masters on my birthday as well. That was 2 years ago. Was Foxy not in the Masters last year? No, I can't even remember. I'm guessing that he was. Why is that not represented here? Now you got me thinking. 2025, the COG. Yes, he wasn't. Interesting stuff. He was good at the PGA Championship. Oh, yeah, because he was. He had to play in stupid Myrtle Beach. So, yes, he wasn't there last year. But he played well in the majors. He played, he was T20 at Memorial, not a major, elevated event with a cut. T28 the PGA Championship. T19 at the U.S. Open, cut at the Open Championship. By and large, pretty good, honestly. Better than I would have expected. If we go back to that live leaderboard, again, under Tools, live leaderboard, just take a look at what Fox is up to. It's the putting that's really been getting him down. The approach play is the different type of approach play, but the driving and around the green is both pretty good. So hopefully his chipping and putting keep up. So it's just interesting to see Fox pop up on this list. He's just not someone that I probably would have expected to be there. Michael Kim, Matt McCarty, Keegan Bradley, Siwoo Kim, there's Hideki, Russell Henley, Marco Penge is on that list as well. That's only in 5 tournaments, but this is more of what Marco Penge does well. And obviously the start of the season was not very good for him. Playing a little bit better, played better on Friday than Thursday at the Pebble Beach event. And then you had who are the worst guys in the field for this? We got Tom Kim, sponsors invite, good for him. Potgieter, McGreevy, Campbell, Valimaki, Bobby Mack. It's funny because Bobby Mack, the ones that he's probably actually good at in this are, the Masters. He's played pretty well. Did not play well last year at the Masters. Most of his Masters stuff is not in here. Neither is his first run. The Genesis Invitational, only 2 rounds, ended up getting cut. So all of his good tournaments are really kind of stricken out of this. But longer term, he has played well. He is a lefty. But we'll throw this one in because we're just trying to get in overall. We'll call this course comp, and throw that one in as well. Now we're going to reset everything again. You can just hit reset or just click on the rabbit hole feature at the top and that will reset everything for you. Now we can start looking into the key proximity ranges that we talked about. Now we're going to throw in, we'll probably do driving first. So we'll go to off the tee and we'll take strokes gained off the tee. And boom, pop that in. SG. What do we want to take a look at here? We got past 6 months. We'll go past 12 months. And again, we'll go last 30 rounds of all of these players. Jake Knapp pops up pretty well here. So we'll go strokes gained off the tee, SG off the tee, past 30. We'll add that in. And then we can either take a look at driving distance, or we can go to the miscellaneous metrics, where you can find things like ball speed, average club head speed, ball speed for some of these guys, Minwoo, Knapp, Rory, a lot of guys that you would probably want. Let's see, do we have former winners in here? Oh, Minwoo's really interesting, actually. His approach play has been really good this week at Pebble, but again, those are the shorter irons, the longer irons. We'll see if he ends up popping out. Knapp's been good. This would be a big win for Jake Knapp. Rory has not won here, Xander, but been very competitive. Ditto with Xander. Adam Scott's a former winner. Cam Young's been very competitive. Scheffler, Homa is a winner here. He's 20th in ball speed. So let's throw this one. We'll throw in ball speed instead of driving distance. Maybe that will help us somehow. Who knows? Ball speed last 30 rounds. We'll add that in. We have apex height. We have launch angle. Let's take a look at the launch angle on some of these guys. Hisetsune hits the ball really high. So does Ricky, Rose. Just see if this gives us anything. Day, Young, Hovland, Straka. Guys that can hold it pretty well. That doesn't seem to be anything for us. Spin rate on some of this stuff. Stevens, Morikawa, Thigala. Nah, probably not anything we want to throw in. We'll go to the proximity ranges now. Overall proximity range, since guys are going to be playing like half on, half off, what we want to do is over-index this 50 to 200, because we saw around 50% of the shots coming in from here. So 50 to 200 procs. And then we're going to throw in 200 plus procs. And you can always change around. You'll be able to find these under expert. You can find mine, especially on expert models when you go in. Let's see if anyone actually has any of them made right now. No one has made. I'm the first one making a Riviera one. Look at that. Me hopping on, not copying anyone this week. Going into it blind just based on what we saw from the stats and some of the other things that we did. So, and I had Blickle on last week and we talked about like POA putting versus actual putting. We're going to take a longer term sample here, past 75 rounds. And we're going to throw into, so we took the course short game, so guys that are familiar with the course. One thing that we have here is the around the green shot types at the rabbit hole, so you can see around the green rough, around the green sand, that kind of thing. So we're going to throw in around the green sand, since we saw that over index is very difficult at this course, just like it is at Pebble Beach. And look at this, some guys that have won at this course. Number 1, Hideki. Number 6, Max Homa. Adam Scott, number 7. All guys who are very good from greenside bunkers. So we're going to go around the green sand save percentage. So around the green sand save. I don't like writing SS. That feels not great. We'll go sand save percentage instead of, shortening that one down. So we'll throw that in. We'll add it in as something that we can take a look at. Around the green shots total, around the green shot rough percentage. That's the way that you wanted to look at it. I'm just going to go back to just general around the green play. We can do it from the rough. I wonder if we can put on filters if the rough is up a little bit. Do I want to get that tricky with it? You can get as tricky or as not tricky as you want. Rough length, average to long. We can try that. I should probably take a look at the course to see what it's been normally playing over the years. If we go again to course data, or as Dr. Pulaski would call it, data, as she did in season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's actually been quite short around here over the years. Okay, so that's really interesting. So we can try that. We can go average or short on that rough percentage, or we can just take a look at what we're seeing from just overall around the green from stuff like that. But let's try this out. Let's just really dig in here. Average and short. We're going to apply the filters for these around the green shots. You can see that's a pretty good sample, 475. Around the green shots total, around the green, rough percentage of how many times they hit it, scrambling percentage from the rough, around the green, short grass percentage. All right, so scrambling from the rough of short and medium length over the past 12 months, the past 50 rounds or past 75 rounds. You see 50, 75, depends on, for some people, I have 75 clicked on. Just some guys simply don't have that many. You can see the measured ones here on the screen. Siwoo, Hideki, Valimaki, Morikawa, Cantlay, Nico, Rico Hoey. Really? That is shocking to see. Cameron Young is up there. Scheffler is up there. Henley. So you have some really good around the green players, and then some guys who suck around the greens, but from the rough tend to do a lot better than they do on short grass. You can see the scrambling from short grass well below for Rico Hoey, scrambling from the sand well below for Rico Hoey. From the rough, not actually all that bad scrambling. So scrambling, rough, around the green. We'll just take a look at that and throw it in. I'm loving digging into more of what we have at the rabbit hole. I'm getting so much more comfortable using it. I hope you guys are too. I believe that the lineup generator that everyone loves from Fantasy National should be back active on Fantasy National for this week. As I mentioned on the live show on Wednesday, the reason for pulling it down and redesigning is because they are the big thing is that they're going to bring all the tools that everyone likes from Fantasy National over to the rabbit hole over the course of this year. And this way we had to recode. I'm talking about like I'm doing this. This is what the developers tell me. I have no idea what any of this means. But they had to recode all of Fantasy National to bring the tools over to the rabbit hole and hopefully into the app once all that is figured out as well. So they all need to speak the same language in terms of code, and they didn't. That's why it needed to be redesigned. But again, you have access to both the sites, and Fantasy National should be more up and running by the time the Florida swing comes around, which is next week, which is great news for a lot of that stuff. We'll go to approach proximity. We did the proximity already. We're going to do just approach in general, and we'll go past. Yeah, let's see guys that are playing well right now. Past 24 rounds, approach 24 rounds. We'll chuck that in. And I think you can over-index this course as long if you really wanted to. So we did the comp courses. That might be good enough, but we can just use strokes gained general. We'll filter by conditions. Oh, you know what? I did it again, just like last week. I forgot to reset my filters. We're going to go into the model and take out that approach number because those approach, if you can see, you can always see when you click on this little info, what is in there. You can see approach. I had the rough length on for approach. So we're going to get rid of that and go re-add it back on this screen. Now that everything is off, we'll go past 24 rounds overall. Scotty Scheffler, approach 24 rounds. Just in general, we'll add that in. And then long courses, if that's the route that you wanted to take, we'll go to course length long to very long. Very long is probably pushing it, although we did see that it plays longer than its scorecard. We'll go into apply filters past 24 rounds at these courses. And we'll just go strokes gained total. No shocker, Scotty Scheffler, number one. Bobby Mack, number two, though. Bobby Mack surging up the charts. Strokes gained, long courses. And these are over the past 24 rounds, over the past 12 months, if guys have enough. Scheffler, McIntyre, Fleetwood, Pearson, Cootie, Ben Griffin, Sam Burns. So Burns, Cam Young, Morikawa, Hovland, Bobby Mack. If you don't go with Scheffler, which again might not be the end of the world at this course, I think that's enough. I probably do want to add in Eagles, honestly. Let's see here. Either par 5 scoring or Eagles. Let's go with Eagles. Eagles are a ton of fun to go with. We'll just go to all rounds over the past 12 months and go to Eagle rate. How does Garrick Higo? Oh, because they still have long courses on. Now I'm laughing I need to laugh like Shane Davis from Vanderpump Rules. If anyone is watching Vanderpump Rules this year, everyone seems to hate it. I think it's awesome, mainly because of my main man, Shane Davis, who laughs like this. Cracks me up every time. It's fantastic. I think it's funny that I think the next time that Tambo is back probably won't be for the DraftKings show because I think Blickle will be back this week. That we might just get together because we're the only two people I know that are watching Vanderpump Rules right now. What was it going to go to? Eagle percentage. Past 6 months, we'll go back to past 12 months again. And Eagle percentage, scoring rate, Eagle rate. Let's see the average. Rico Hoey is the best. Hoey, Kevin, Thigala, McIlroy, Fitz, Nico, Gerard. This could be a sneaky Gerard spot as well. We'll see how he ends up rating out. Kitayama. Kitayama's won at Bay Hill. He's won at 3 on both pretty big driver courses where you do need to score. Scheffler, McNeely, Matty Schmidt, Goddard, Grazerman. So not a lot of the guys that you would think. I just want to see if we're here or if par 5 scoring leads you to better players. Let's see, par 5 birdies or better. Cootie, Scheffler, Knapp, Higo. I think this is a bit more reflective. So I'll throw in par 5 BOB percentage over the past. And that's for all rounds over the past 12 months. It's funny that a lot of these guys are just playing really good golf at the moment coming in, that they're all kind of propped up at the top of the leaderboard. So we've thrown in a ton of stuff so far. So we'll go to create our model right now and see how we want to weight this. So Mayo, Riv, Research, Show. And I will add that as an expert report. If you want to go in and copy what I've been doing, if you see something that you want to throw in that I didn't throw in, you can just copy mine up. You can take some of my stuff out, re-add it around. It's a really cool feature that we have, and you can do that for me, Ron, Andy, Hennessy's doing one, Vincenzi's still doing one. I think Powers ends up doing one. I think Keith is going to start doing one. We make one on the show, just a kind of course fit model of what we see on the Wednesday show with Keith. Keep supporting that show. It's been doing fantastic. Really do appreciate the support on that. I might be adding a new non-golf show this Thursday, which I think could be a ton of fun. We'll see if we can get that up and running. So how are we going to do this? So we saw that approach means the most, but we have a lot of approach stuff in here. We have strokes gained approach and 2 proximity ranges. Let's try to get right around 40% for that. So we'll go 20, 10, and 10. Make it easy on ourselves. And there are elements of approach in some of this other stuff as well. Driving, we want to have right around 20%, I think. So off the tee, we'll go 13%. You know what? 14%, 6% for ball speed. So those are our 2 big driving ones. Now, around the green, we want to have probably around 20% as well. So what did we see? We saw short strokes gained off the tee. We got that one. So strokes gained total at comp courses. So we have Riviera course history type stuff. We'll put in 10% short games. So that's chipping and putting. There, we could have taken just putting from this course. I did keep that out because it is merged into this one. And we're going to go sand saves, 5, scrambling from the rough, 5. So now that's at 20% of what we're looking for as well, total. Now we have, looks like 3 extra spots to fill out for 20% extra. We can always go back and add if we want to. That is the comp courses. I like throwing in 10% on that. And that means we can go strokes gained total at long courses, 5%, par 5s, 5%. Works out to a nice, tidy 100%. I have that saved in there. We have it called Mayo Riv Research Show, and boom, we're off to the races. And as I continue to say, any sort of ranking that gives you not Scotty Scheffler at number 1 is broken, and you should probably do it again. We found that out last on the Wednesday show with Keith, that I had left the filters on for some of them. It wasn't giving me Scheffler at 1. What the hell is going on? Probably should have listened to it, honestly, because it wasn't. Because that was a very course fit type model. But as you can see, we take a look at the total overall ranking. It's not as big as it was last week. Scheffler is still just ahead of Siwoo Kim by about 13 points. The only 3 players above 70 in this overall ranking. So it's Scotty 86 out of 100, Siwoo 73 out of 100, and Xander 72 out of 100. Xander slipped as low as 28-1 last week. Kind of hope he falters on the weekend a little bit, and we might be able to catch a 25-30 on him at Riviera, which would be an awesome number. Morikawa, Fleetwood, Henley, Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott! I can't do a Doc Brown. My voice just does not lend it. Smoked for too long. Don't smoke anymore, but smoked for too long. Connors, Cootie, Goddard, Hovland, Hideki. All these guys are very close to each other. Morikawa and Fleetwood and Henley are closer to that Xander Siwoo spot than the rest. It's just a big pile of guys in these lower to mid 60s. Then there's a noticeable drop off. Homa, Cam Young, Homa, Kitayama, English, Spieth, Spawn, then down into guys who played well at this course in the past. McNeely, Cantlay, Fowler, Rogers, Ben Griffin, Bhatia, Gerard, Hisasune, Sam Burns, and then you get really bad guys at the bottom of this list. Brian Campbell looks like he sucks. Nico Minwoo is horrible here, but Minwoo's such a streaky player that he actually kind of does make some sense here. His long irons are really bad, though. I'm guessing that's what the case is. Yeah, 66 from 150 to 200 overall. Not awful, slightly above average from 200 plus, but not really doing it. Great on sand saves, though, if you really wanted to overweight that. Grazerman, Bridgman. So the guys that are ranked lower in the field, Fox does not rate out well at all. But as you can see, he has no experience at this course, so he's getting dinged for that, as are some of these people as well. Just looking through of why they're not up. Knapp rates out 39th despite no experience. He rates out pretty well in everything besides scrambling from the rough, approach, longer term, although that has been getting better for him in the very short term. So it's not a one-stop shop in terms of the model, but these are the guys that you should probably be targeting. I do want to take a deeper look at Adam Scott, though, and see why he is popping up so much here. How has he played so far this year? I don't quite remember. Okay, actually. The approach play has been great. The chipping and putting has been abysmal. Of note, too, he still doesn't have when was the last time he had a top 20? He was at the Scottish, when was the last time he had a top 10 finish on the PGA Tour? You'd be going back to the 2024 Tour Championship. However, when it comes to Adam Scott, he does play overseas a little bit. So if you go and take a look at his tournaments internationally, you can see that Adam Scott, his best world golf ranking, first overall in that swing through Japan, Korea, and Australia to end last year. He was 11th at the Japan Golf Open, at the Genesis Championship on the DP World Tour in Korea. He was T30, then back-to-back top 10 finishes in Australia in December. And it hasn't necessarily translated through, although the ball striking has been really good for Adam Scott. While his around the green play has been absolutely god-awful. If we take a look at the former winner, in on a sponsor's exemption at the Genesis Invitational, we take out last year's performance, which is this top one, and you can see over the years hasn't been the best around the greens, hasn't gained around the greens here since 2021, but he did gain the year that he won, top 10 the year before that, but has putted pretty well. I mean, he's lost twice in his career here since 2017 and has gained 6 times. So maybe he does have a bit of an edge on these greens. Obviously, again, he's another guy who's won at Augusta, and chipping has never really been his thing, but lag putting has. That's something that he has been very good at over the course of his career. You can see he's gained somewhat around the green at Augusta in his career and has generally gained on the greens. Did not last year as he missed the cut at the 2025 Masters, but historically been very good. We might be catching a perfect example of Adam Scott right now where the driver and irons are locked in at the moment, and we might get a course memory type skill set, chipping and putting. That would be the bet on him. Now, if he opens at 50-1, it's a bad number. If he opens at 90-1 or 100-1, which is, I mean, he probably should be beyond that, but because he's a former winner, he's a sponsor's invite, and he's been playing like okay golf, I suppose. If you can get him at a triple-digit number, I would be in on Adam Scott. Anything 80 or below, I probably wouldn't be. Could be talked into it as the week goes along, but that's where I would be looking at for the first bomb on the card would be Adam Scott if the number is right. It's time to guess some odds for the Genesis Invitational. Scotty's going to be the favorite. Of course, only knowing 2 rounds of Pebble, it's going to be very difficult to see who moves up or down the board. Like Akshay should be vaulting up the board, going from 140 in Phoenix to us betting him at 66, 60, 70, whatever he was at Pebble Beach. Although Pebble's a really good course for him. That if he wins, it'll be like 30-1 next week. Almost like we saw with Mav McNeely, coming off 2 strong performances, ended up inside 30-1 for Pebble Beach. Then he'll fall back down for Riviera. So a lot of it is complete recency bias as we go through everything. But Scotty's going to be 3-1, between 3-1 and 4-1, unless he stages an epic comeback. Rory will be just after him on the betting board. Then it's a big question and up in the air. If Xander makes a run, it'll be Xander. If Xander falters, you can see him at 25-30-1. Morikawa, Cantlay will be overemphasized at this venue because of their past success. Hovland might be as well, but we'll see tentatively about him because he still can't chip. He's probably a better top 10 bet than outright winner. Fleetwood will obviously continue to be up there, depending on who plays well at Riv. Sam Burns has played well at this course in the past. He's in the mix. If he can somehow come inside the top 5, Day will probably be over-indexed as well. But these signature events, because Scotty continues to run really good, yet not win, is giving us some decent numbers down the board. So if you like Cam Young this week, for example, you might get him at 35-40-1. This should still be a great Chris Goddard course, honestly, that you might be able to get him at 35-1 again this week if he doesn't end up staging an epic comeback on Sunday. So a lot going on. If you want to tune into more golf, I suggest Monday morning with me and Jeff as we recap Pebble Beach and make our initial bets on the tournament. Me and Blickle for DraftKings. Me and Keith for the Wednesday final word. Then I'm live on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss it. You need to be subbed in order to ask questions. If you have any questions about the week, I'm here to answer them, as long as they're good questions. If they're bad questions, it's like I'm just going to get mad and yell at you. I know that people love that part of the show, but it raises my blood pressure. And last week, I forgot to open the door to this office because I do this one from my home office and my heat is broken because of renovation, so it's always at max heat. Forgot to open the window and I was just like sweating bullets by the end. It looks like I was having a legitimate meltdown because, in fact, I was melting in this room because it was so hot. Today, looking a lot better because I opened the window. So please smash a like, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo, and the free newsletter where you can get the full article, and even some of my notes about the Genesis Invitational are out already if you want to check them out. All right. Thank you for all your support of the show, and I will see you next time.
Mayo Experience! sense.